And we're back. The day after President's Day, which you would think would be Vice President's Day, but maybe I'm just splitting hairs. David, I know we always get to a fun fact here. We got a great show for you guys. Ordered a Nintendo 64.
I saw you said
yes.
that. Yeah.
But, it obviously got Mario Kart, got Super Smash Bros. Coming in, put out into the universe, a.k.a. social media. What other games are must-haves for N64? GoldenEye, overwhelmingly. Yeah. But there were some games I forgot about.
Like what?
Banjo-Kazooie?
Never heard of it.
Good game.
Star Fox?
Yeah.
You remember Star Fox?
No,
dude, just absolute classics. But GoldenEye, without a doubt. Maybe that should be the poll. What is the best Nintendo 64 game ever? What did you play with? Like rocks and
I put
sticks?
Dr. Mario on your Twitter.
Dave just did his taxes on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah. I audited my parents when I was 12.
Okay. That'd be interesting, though. If you
Look, Dr. Mario looks like a fun game.
It is.
For like 7 minutes.
So I've never even heard of Dr. Mario. That's
Cone's unbelievably good at it. Like sickeningly good at it. It's like
I bet.
Tetris.
Yeah.
It's like Mario's version.
It's a game you don't bring up unless you're good at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Paperboy the same.
Now, Paperboys, don't you have like an all-time record?
I think I'm like 7th all-time.
Like you and Peter Dinklage hold like the record?
I don't know. I just got good at these select few games and never really deviated. Once the first-person shooter games came out, it was done for me. Because all my other friends got into those and got really good at those, and I wasn't good at those. So when he starts talking about GoldenEye, yes, I know what he's talking about. I can't add anything about
Did that all change in July this year?
NCAA.
Yeah. Old Dominion, your program's going to change forever. Your football program. Remember?
Well, what I'm going to do for Kent State, and I'm going to ask JD PicKell and we get him on. Like, look, are you down to jump in this group of 5 online dynasty? All right, we can conference realign it. Like, we can mix the MAC and the Sun Belt. Maybe something even cooler I don't know about yet.
Heard about yet?
Yeah,
the MAC belt.
See.
Why do you always start with Old Dominion?
Just
the Monarchs.
It's one of those things, man. Just they're my first when it comes to the online dynasty game.
Gotcha.
Yeah, It just means more. Something about her, man.
You going to start with South?
No, I'm going to Kent State. I already told you the Golden Flashes.
That's right.
What's that flashing? It's the light before your eyes before Kent State runs out there and destroys you.
Yeah.
So we got a fun fact this morning?
Got a fun fact. John Stockton. Today's John Stockton Day for me here.
Okay.
All-time assist leader in the NBA, 15,806.
That's a lot.
All-time steals leader as well, 3,205. But, even more impressive, spent his entire 19 seasons with the Utah Jazz. 16 of those seasons played the entire 82-game slate.
Cal Ripken Jr. of the NBA, man.
Made the playoffs in each of those 19 seasons, and 16 of those played the full season.
But I don't think he won an NBA championship, right? So according to Jay Williams, he can't be great. It's
not
impossible.
great. Mid. Probably mid. Right?
Yeah, probably just a little bit better than mid. A new development's unfolding in the legal battle between FSU and the ACC. The NBA All-Star Game is just a waste of time. And JD PicKell of On3 joined us to discuss the new commissioner of the Pac-2. I'm Jake Crane, and welcome to Crane & Company. Now, last Friday in a court filing, the attorneys for the ACC hinted toward possibly negotiating a buyout for Florida State when it comes to their media rights and conference affiliation with said ACC. Now, in this college football world, we know this is a complex issue, right? And let's be honest, sometimes it's worth paying more to get out of a bad marriage. You don't even have to pay child support in this one, right? It's just straight alimony. Let's wipe our hands and get done. Now, it's obvious that Florida State and a couple other schools have worked harder than a single mother in trying to keep the ACC somewhere in the ballpark of the SEC and the Big Ten. Now, it hasn't worked, but they have done more than their fair share, and they're sick of doing it. Now, not only that, but they've had to endure being looked down upon even when they're perfect. Not only are they making a lot less money than their counterparts in those two other mega conferences, but we all know there's no way in hell that an undefeated Big Ten or an SEC team was going to get left out of the 4-team playoff after going undefeated, regardless of the quarterback circumstances. So if I was Florida State, I would be trying to jump ship as well. Less money and no clout is a bad way to go through high-end athletics. But the question here isn't should they go. We all know they should. But can they? Now, their future earnings in either one of those two power conferences would eventually dwarf what they would have to pay to leave the ACC, even if it's a little bit on the high side. And we're about to get in the nitty-gritty of it. And it's a smart long-term play. Now, after the suits over at the ACC, like I said, seemingly cracked the door, like our good friend Andy Staples said, saying it's a commercial possibility for Florida State to leave, not a penalty. Florida State should bust right through that cracked door with a checkbook in one hand and a smile on their face. Speaking about smiles, this guy's got a smile that goes for miles. David Cohn. It's like my Gutfeld intro there. And then my brother, former Western State Colorado wide receiver, his smile's pretty good. It's a
I love it.
Smile.
Never get a
You always get
I never
one.
get
I
a
don't
good
want to hear
compliment.
it. I don't want to hear it. You always get good compliments.
Just go, David invented electricity.
David did invent electricity.
I was there for his kids.
You flew a kite.
And this is Blaine, who ate a box of crowns before he got here.
Crayons?
Crayons.
Crown? You
Not
said
helping
crown.
your case, Blaine.
We're not doing that. Tomato. Don't get me started, Louisville.
But, David, here's where I want to go with that. The ACC, I think, is dead. I think they're legitimately dead. And here's why I say that. Right now, you have the case going. It's a battle between the ACC and Florida State. The ACC wants the case played out in the state of North Carolina, which filed the lawsuit first, right, against Florida State. The ACC is headquartered in North Carolina. Florida State, who filed a lawsuit against the ACC, wants it done in the state of Florida, right? So they could both go on parallel tracks. But here's the problem. If this thing goes to trial, it could go really bad for either side. One, the ACC wants Florida State to pay like $500 million to get out of the conference. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think a court would make Florida State pay $500 million. So if the ACC does take it to court and they lose, Florida State may just walk without having to pay anything, which is a worst case scenario. Now, on the other hand, right, if Florida State somehow, there's some fallout where the court says, no, you've got to stick to the grant of rights through the full term, which is 2036, then you're stuck. Like you're in trouble, or you do somehow have to pay this vast amount of money. So it seems to me like they at some point are going to settle. There will be a settlement. Now, what will that settlement number be? My guess would be in the ballpark from people I've talked to in between $275 million to $350 million, right? Which is a little bit still on the high side if you're Florida State. But at the end of the day, if you're going to make $40, $50 million more per year in the SEC or the Big Ten, wherever you wind up, you're going to end up profiting off that in the long term. So yeah, you may have to throw a chunk of change, maybe a little bit more than what you want, but it's the smart long-term play. But having said all that, either way, if Florida State is allowed to leave, well, here comes Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
Here comes North Carolina. Here comes Virginia Tech. Here comes Virginia. And the ACC is going by the way of the Pac-12. So it seems like the Pac-12, which is now the Pac-2, and I know we're going to get into that, they were like the start of the Final Destination movie, right? They were the ones who saw the crash. Now everybody else that was involved on the trip is getting knocked out outside of the Big Ten and the SEC. So, I feel like we are heading towards the death of at least the ACC being in that next tier. Have fun with Cal and Stanford and Boston College. Maybe y'all can go see who reads the best.
Well, I feel like many across the country do. I hate to see this. I hate to see these conferences that have existed for a long time go by the wayside, mostly because I feel like the regional appeal to college athletics is going to be under attack as we see that more and more. Now, when it comes to, and it makes sense from Florida State's perspective to look at all the lost revenue they're seeing when they get to watch Vanderbilt and Northwestern in the SEC and the Big Ten.
But even worse, Florida, your rival.
Yeah, well, that makes a little more sense. I mean, that's a hardcore, blue blood college football program. But even some programs that you're looking around scratching your head, like how are we going to be $30 million in the hole compared to some of these programs? I understand it from the Florida State perspective. When it comes to the specificity of this case, the ACC came out and basically said, their attorney said, if Florida State wishes to regain control of those grant of rights before the end of the term, it could attempt to repurchase them. But having to buy back a right which was assigned is not a penalty. It's simply a commercial possibility. Paying a fair price for the rights that were previously transferred cannot be a penalty under any reasonable definition of the term. The ACC is correct here. It's not a penalty. The Florida State, you signed this deal. And if I'm the ACC, I'm shocked to see language in here that would even open the door for the possibility of buying their way out of this.
That's what shocked me the most.
Because you need Florida State in the conference more than you need $300 million. Yeah. What are you going to do with $300 million other than the entire conference, like you said, is going to collapse? With Florida State in there and showing Clemson and Miami, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, no, there's no way out of this for any of y'all. You signed a deal. This is the deal we're going to honor until 2036. That would at least give you another 12 years to try and figure out a solution or to gain more value so that the next TV deal could be worth more money.
Well, and we want to know what you think in the comments. We're taking live calls. This is something, obviously, that's a huge deal because it doesn't just affect football. We have to remember, we look at this through a football lens, but look at basketball. If Florida State and North Carolina were to leave, what that would do to the ACC conference. Blaine, if you set the precedent, let's just put a number on it. Let's say Florida State and the ACC, they don't want to end up seeing it play out in trial. They want to settle. You pay this alimony, and we'll shake hands and be done, and it's $300 million. Well, now precedent is set. So North Carolina pays $300 million, right? Let's say the ACC ends up with like 1.2 or even $1.5 billion. That's great. You made all this money, but all you're going to do is just linger and hang around and have that extra money to what? Try and just sustain yourself? Like to be able to just pay the bills for a couple extra years? I don't look down the road and see, if Florida State leaves, the ACC is done. They're done. There's no coming back. And when I say done, I don't mean that they're going to fold and end up being only two like the Pac-12, right? They've added SMU, and they've added Cal, and they've added Stanford. But as far as being in that next tier, or being close, or being able to compete in basketball, or compete in baseball at a high level, you're cooked.
No, it's over with. There's no coming back. In my eyes, the ACC is already done as a conference. I mean, they are. At some point, it's just going to be the Big 12 and the SEC. I mean, the Big 10 and the SEC. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be Fox versus ESPN. That's the place we're going. If I'm a team in the ACC, why would I ever want to be in there? What good thing is me being in the ACC? It's not I'd get out as quick as possible, if I could anyways.
Well, I'll say this about the Big 12. I think the Big 12 has staying power. I think what Brett Yormark did was very smart. He's going to kind of basically put themselves and fill the void or the vacuum of the Pac-12 and the ACC losing relevance. The Big 12 will be the next up. I mean, if the ACC goes, we now go from a Power 5, which we went to a Power 4 with the Pac-12. If the ACC disappears, now we're in a Power 3. And if you look at the Big 12, who's the last big dog left that says, you know what? At the end of the day, we're fine with being a power in basketball. We'll be good enough in football, but that's why, and I'll continue to go back to what I said, Brett Yormark bringing in Houston, bringing in UCF, bringing in Cincinnati, bringing in BYU was unbelievably smart because there's only so many big dogs left out there that could sustain you and you could get value from. Look at Houston in basketball, ranked. Look at BYU in basketball, ranked. Got a big one tonight, and I'm just talking about basketball. I'm not even talking about football. Look at UCF. Not a bad basketball program or athletics program overall. Cincinnati, typically really good in basketball. I still like their coach. I know they've struggled a little bit this year, but I feel like those teams have staying power. The ACC loses who they lose. Not only do they have staying power, they're going to go the way of the dodo bird eventually. It's just, it's so the math.
Two of my biggest questions here, especially when you start talking about the other sports, is, what's going to happen if football does completely spin off? College football is its own entity, which we've talked about probably needs to happen because it's one of the few sports that actually produces a profit. So if the college football playoff committee or the powers that be with college football want to spin that off and sign a lucrative television rights deal that doesn't include any other sports, and they want to have revenue sharing with the athletes, how's that going to look? I mean, do the basketball and baseball teams need to switch conferences too? That's one thing that we're still going to have to figure out. And then when it comes to these conferences, you can only add so many teams before you're the college landscape again, right?
Well, that's where we think it's going, right?
Yeah. So at what point are we going to see conferences begin to kick some programs out? if it's just going to be this cherry picking where ESPN and Fox, but SEC and the Big Ten are going to say, well, we want all of the best programs to create this entity of 35, 45, 55 teams and just spin college football off on its own, then you're going to take the likes of a Miami and a Clemson or a Utah above, say, Mississippi State or Northwestern or Maryland. When are we going to get to a point where they start kicking other programs out of their
See, that's what's going to be interesting. Why I look at some of the realignment we've already had with like USC and UCLA and these teams going to the Big Ten, and then Cal and Stanford going to the ACC. Apparently, they've got no problem flying across the country to play half their conference games. It hasn't stopped them yet, but we've seen schools be in different conferences depending on sports before, even without conference realignment. I mean, we see, kind of what happened to the Big East in football, right? And we've watched, Syracuse be in this conference in that sport and this one and another one in the other. Hell, we watched Notre Dame during COVID just adopt a conference for a year in football, yet they're full-time in basketball. So there is a precedent for it. But I just find this whole thing fascinating because there's so many moving parts that you feel like is heading towards the same destination, but just the legal battles that it takes to get there, it's going to be fascinating to watch down the stretch, regardless if you like it or you don't like it. But regardless of whatever you think, you're still going the games, all right? And we all know, watching your favorite sport or your favorite team in person, look, it just hits different. It's like corn nuggets at Niffers, man. They just hit different, all right? There's just something about catching it live, and that's why the Game Time app is something you need to have. What is the Game Time app? David asks conspicuously.
What is the Game Time app?
It's a fast and easy way to buy tickets online. Like here in Nashville, we got the Preds, right? We got the Titans. Hell, we even have Vanderbilt. Sometimes people go and watch their games. All right, so concerts as well. In Nashville, it's obviously huge here, the land of honky tonk. And with Game Time, we can get tickets up to an hour before the event. And one of the best perks of their app is you can see what the view of your seat will look like ahead of time. Isn't 2024 awesome? You can see what your view will be before you even get in there. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BOOSTER, that's BOOSTER, for $20 off your first purchase. Again, it's really easy. You download the Game Time app, you create an account, you redeem your code BOOSTER, and you get $20 off. Download it today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Terms apply. Fantastic service. Also, we're going to put our link for merch in the chat. If you like us, if you like the show, more importantly, if you like America, you're going to go in there and buy one of those hoodies. Maybe a Flamin' Dragon candle, which, I don't know, smells like success. And also Big Red chewing gum. So I'm excited about that. Let's get to the Booster Club.
All right, Chad, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Let's get it rolling today. We're going to start off with Joshua. Joshua, what is up, my guy? So with the death of the ACC looming, does this mean UNC and UVA go to the Big Ten?
That, at first, when this ball started getting rolling, I did not see a world in which Florida State or North Carolina or Virginia Tech or Virginia did not end up in the SEC. Because it just makes sense, right? Regionally, which, hell, that doesn't matter anymore, I guess. Look who just joined the Big Ten and the ACC. But because of the rivalries, North Carolina and South Carolina, right? And then if you throw Clemson in there too. I mean, now South Carolina's basically inherited every rival that they've ever had. You look at a team like Miami, they left the ACC. Going in with Florida. And if Florida State goes to the SEC, it creates all these huge rivalries. But I don't know if you can take all of them. Like, I don't know if you can take every team that wants to leave the ACC. So could Florida State end up in the Big Ten? I mean, if you're Florida State, would you rather be in the same conference as Florida, right? Or would you rather go do your own thing in the Big Ten where you're going to make almost as much money and you're kind of offering a different flavor of ice cream per se? That's the part that I find interesting. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Probably an even split.
The ironic part in terms of every conference going away from divisions now is they're going to add so many teams that they just have to bring divisions back.
See, do you though?
You're going to have to, or you're not going to be able to crown a legitimate champion. We're going to be in the middle of a gas station flipping a coin to see. We almost got into that situation this past year with the ACC alone. Now we're starting to talk about 20, 22, maybe 24 teams in a single conference. That's almost as big as the entire sports league of some pro sports.
Well, let's think about it right now. There's 16 teams in the Big 12 right now with the 4 they've added. They went from 14 to 16 or whatever. So you play 12 regular season games. Let's say you play 3 non-conference games. What happens when they say, listen, the conference gets so big, we're just going to do what we did in 2020 and play an all-conference schedule, which is going to eliminate a lot of the tiebreakers. So 12 regular season games, 12 conference games. In a 20-team league, your team makes it the 13 teams, so there's 7 teams that you're not playing. If you look at the SEC now, adding Texas and Oklahoma, I mean, there's still 7 teams that you're not playing technically, even when you go to a 9-game regular season schedule. So is it really that different than what we have right now? I mean, it may end up in tiebreakers, right? But we could end up with tiebreakers in divisions as well. So that's what I feel like you can't have one without the other. What do we continue to say? The more teams you add, you're not going to add regular season games because of player safety, and you're adding teams to the playoff. Now you just got to play an all-conference schedule, which I wouldn't be upset about.
I wouldn't be either.
You'd have even better matchups.
Yeah, we're going to have better matchups because, and that's one of the pros too. We talk about the negative aspects. One of the positive aspects, we're going to have greater matchups. But then those really cool out-of-conference matchups that we would be robbed of, we'll get on the back end with an expanded playoff.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting to watch.
All right, let's go to Steven. Steven, what is up? FSU leaves the ACC. There's a push to have Notre Dame join the ACC, move to threat level midnight.
Oh,
well,
threat level midnight.
Again, though, if I'm Notre Dame, if I'm on the Titanic, you're either playing the violin or you're Billy Zane getting in the lifeboat. I'm not playing the violin. Not only that, if you're Notre Dame, going to the ACC after all these teams leave would be like you pulling up on a boat to the Titanic that's sinking, getting your violin and getting on the Titanic and then sinking with it. No. If Notre Dame, to me, I think they are just going to wait this thing out. They're going to keep driving that price up, right? And they're going to see where they fit in best. It's kind of like, they're kind of like Italy. They're kind of like a neutral country during World War II that's just watching it go on around them in Europe. And they're like, we're just going to wait to see who's winning and then just go with them. That's what it feels like with Notre Dame. And look, at the end of the day, now that the Big 12 is gobbled up, really the only other teams that mattered, I mean, the ACC are like, well, we'll get Cal and Stanford and SMU, which, look, I'm a big Rhett Lashley guy. Who else is out there to get? There's only teams in the Mountain West, or maybe the American, I guess, but nobody's going to have the cachet that Notre Dame is. So if you're Notre Dame, I'm just going to let this party play out. I'm going to see, musical chairs. Everybody gets up, moves around, and I'm just going to wait till the best seat opens. Then I'm going to sit down with my NBC contract, with my touchdown Jesus, with my Lou Holtz impression, and see where it works.
They must be Michael Scarn in that scenario.
Michael Scarn?
They're Michael Scarn.
He said he's still got a gun. That's the funniest scene from The Office.
Funny one.
By the way, there's something I got to tell you about I saw on Netflix today. It's crazy.
All right, there's nothing like getting gobbled up. Let's go to Maddie. Maddie, what is up, my guy? What would be the best solution in the whole country? 2 big conferences like the East and West, or do we do 3 like an East, a Central, and a West? It just seems like conferences are folding like laundry.
That's the regional appeal I talked about. The regional appeal is going to get lost in those sorts of
Yeah, but again, I mean, even before this, like you look at the divisions in the SEC, we had Auburn and Alabama in the West, and Missouri.
That's minor compared to
that's what I'm saying. It's always been
UCLA. I want to see UCLA play Stanford. And not because look, I'm from South Georgia, but UCLA and Stanford playing makes sense, right? California schools, let them battle it out. I have at least a minor interest. UCLA is not going to fly across the country and play Rutgers in the middle of the week in basketball.
Hey, not only that, they're going up to play Iowa in November. Good luck with that, bud. Good luck with that.
Let's go to Jor. Remember, if you donate and it's on topic, it will get read. Let's go to Jor. He says there will be 3 main entities, and that's it. The SEC, the Big Ten, and everybody else.
3 doesn't work.
Well, again, I'm trying to think how 3 would work. But if you look at the Big 12, I do think the Big 12 has staying power.
Yeah.
Right now, outside of the 2 monsters, right, the SEC and the Big Ten, the Big 12 is the only one that's going to be left with any sort of, does Notre Dame join the Big 12? They say, all right, listen, we'll go to the Big 12. That's fine. We'll make this a 3-headed hydra and just go party on, Garth. I mean, we'll see.
Let's go to G. Hurd. He wants to get your thoughts on how about this ESPN, CBS, Fox streaming agreement that hit the news a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we talked about it
already.
Yeah.
Did it not? Didn't it already? It already hit a road bump.
Yeah. How is this going to work? Again, I hate to keep using World War II references when we're talking about sports, but like, you knew that the Soviet Union and Germany weren't going to last very long. And then the Soviet Union was like, hey, America, we can be friends too. That it's not going to work. This was never going to work. Right when we heard this, we had somebody who works with us that has experience in this realm. I'm obviously not going to say who, but you know who, because you're listening right now, said that the minute he heard this, said there is no way in hell that this is going to work out. There's just no way. There's too many big dogs at the table. There's too many alphas because it's like ESPN Plus and Fox and Warner Bros. And all these other people that are direct competitors of each other. I just, number one, it sounds like a monopoly, right?
Well, not if they, I don't know. Here it says the news service would air games from the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, the National Hockey League, along with NASCAR, PGA Tour, Grand Slam tennis, and more. First of all, I don't know how you're including Grand Slam tennis in that unless it's just the U.S. Open.
Dude, I would think.
Like, how are you showing?
I don't see a world in which those entities can survive together.
That doesn't make sense.
I just don't. Hell, ESPN can't even get along with itself.
But this would be a big win. I mean, it could be a big win.
Well, it's like a utopian way of looking at. I just don't see this working out. And everybody that I know that has been attached to any one of these entities is like, there's no way they run this ground ball out. Like, there's going to be so many roadblocks that get hit throughout the process. So I would love to be able to just one-stop shop, basically, for all the games I want to watch. I sure as hell don't want to have to buy Peacock to watch like a couple games here and there, and people don't want to just have to buy Amazon Prime to be able to have to, watch a couple NFL games a year. I'd love for it to be a one-stop shop. I just don't feel like we can get there yet with those entities. I feel like for lack of a better term, it's a pissing contest between those teams. I don't.
I know where we did get, I believe, YouTube TV's letting you put your wherever you want.
They are, and I tweeted this out.
Yeah. Excitement.
It was a very emotional, borderline religious experience this weekend.
Excitement.
When the multi-view was like, hey, you can choose what you want to multi-view. Now, that doesn't mean you can choose from everything. All right, it lets you add games and take away some games on some of it, but there's still some. It's not like you just take your 4 favorite games that are on.
Oh, that's what I thought it was.
Just put them on there. You can get close. We're getting closer to that.
Okay.
We're getting closer to that. But I think there's obviously rights that get involved with certain.
But is it football season?
Football season. That's just the clutches.
Let's figure it out by football season. Listen, I'm not asking ESPN and Fox and Warner Bros. And all them to get together. All I want is just to be able to pick the multi-view of exactly what game. That's all Jake's asking for. All right, that's all I want.
Let's go to Passport Doc. What is up, my guy? Something to consider is that FSU GORs are the only locked in until 2026, so there is no guaranteed money after that year. Why would FSU need to pay a buyout for something that isn't guaranteed?
Grant of rights is
yes.
Yeah, it's again, you're still in the grant of rights, though. Like, it's not 2026. They are trying to get out by logistically. I don't think, even if it went the best way it could for Florida State, they could join a new conference and be able to fit in that schedule by 2024, by this next year in the football season. I don't see that possible. So it has to be 2025, right?
Well,
that would be the earliest.
The question becomes, okay, let's just say Florida State can get out of the ACC grant of rights, and let's just say the SEC would take them right this second, which I think they would. Can the SEC take them, and does that lead to any more money coming in from ESPN on their TV deal? Like ESPN and the SEC aren't in a negotiating period. They're already signed on. So how does that affect getting the more money that you would need to justify bringing in Florida State? Because if you're Florida or Auburn or Alabama, you're saying, wait, Florida State's going to come into the conference right now and we're not going to get any more money from it immediately? Now, Greg Sankey's going to call them and say, yeah, but we'll get a ton more money on the next time we negotiate a deal. But when's that going to be? Why wouldn't they just time it up to where that's when you would bring?
Well, my whole thought at the beginning of this, when I was like, "There's just no way if Florida State leaves, I see them going anywhere other than the SEC," was because what do the ACC and the SEC have in common that the SEC or that the ACC and the Big Ten don't? The SEC and the ACC are both their media rights go to ESPN. The Big Ten's goes to Fox. So you would just think that it would be a lot easier to negotiate, or maybe there's some wiggle room with ESPN and the grant of rights if you're just dealing with ESPN, right? If you're going from one conference to the other, but both of the media rights deals are through ESPN, as opposed to having to go through, all right, now it's ESPN versus Fox, and obviously ESPN doesn't want to give that up. It seems that may not be the case, because I guess they're treating it as, yes, ESPN is the same entity for the SEC and the ACC, but the ESPN and the SEC are not negotiating right now, and the ACC is looking like they're going to get a negotiation with Florida State. So it just adds another element to this that I thought maybe a common denominator would make it a smoother transition if it was just to the SEC. It seems like that's not the case.
Yeah, so here, remember, the SEC signed a 10-year deal with ESPN that's going to run
$70 trillion.
2034. That's only 2 years shy of when the grant of rights would end for Florida State. So if the SEC does all the legwork of bringing in not only Florida State, but you'd probably have to bring in at least 2 schools, right?
An even number, I would think.
So it's an even number. But let's just say it's just Florida State, and you bring them into the conference and you do all the scheduling by 2025 or whenever. There's no guarantee ESPN is just going to pay you more money. You're already under contract for another 10 years.
Yeah, but I mean, again, though, like long-term wise, obviously the SEC would look at Florida State and say, that's going to make us more money. It's a lot better than bringing in Cal or Stanford or somebody like that if we're going to have to expand. At what point, and I do want to move on from this because there's so many different angles, though. At what point, if you're the SEC or the Big Ten, are you like, well, I want to get that team before the other mega conference gets that team? Like, what's the inner competition between the SEC and the Big Ten of grabbing these teams, right? Because at the end of the day, it is an ego thing. If the SEC, if they're like, all right, Florida State's going to leave, do you think there's some type of battle between the Big Ten and the SEC saying, well, we want to be the biggest dog of the big dogs.
Well, remember, it's the schools that decide. So if you're Florida, you're saying no. If you're Florida, you're like, let the Big Ten have Florida State. We don't want an in-state school coming into the conference. Florida's tried to keep Florida State out of the conference.
I know, but we saw, Texas A&M tried to keep Texas out, and what happened? Like, eventually that money, this, at the end of the day, the money talks.
That's what I'm saying. So if there's not going to be any more money for a decade, that's the only reason Florida,
but would there be a
that's the only reason Florida would vote yes.
Would there be a renegotiation?
That's my question.
Yeah.
Why would ESPN renegotiate when they could get more value under the existing contract, unless they just saw that Fox is going to go make a play?
It just reminds me of the movie The Campaign, when the two brothers, the Mach brothers or whoever, they're like, listen, we're going to put a Chinese city in the state of North Carolina so we can double the already tripled profits. Like, I just feel like it's like never enough. Like, they're just like, listen, we found a way to maximize even more of what we had in the contract or whatever. But all right, we got the phone lines opening up here soon at 7:15 a.m. Central. We got JD PicKell. Again, if you donate, it's on topic. We'll read it. If not, we will read it at the end. But before we get to best and worst, because there's a lot this weekend, I've had a lot of people that have reached out to me that say, hey, Jake, I want to start a podcast. How do I get it going? How do I sell merch? This, that, and the other. And I've got one answer. And it's really one noise, David. And I think we all know. Can you hit that noise? Which we all know that's Elvish for Shopify. All right? Shopify knows that starting a business can be tough, especially when it comes to running your online storefront, but they make it easier than ever. Shopify is a global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, from the, hey, we just launched online, to the, we just hit 1 million orders, now we're eating cheese, eggs, and potatoes and Turks and Caicos. All right, Shopify is there to help you grow. Our marketing team uses Shopify every day to sell our merchandise, and you see how well that does, and we appreciate you guys for that. And we love how easy it is to add more items, ship products, and track conversions to help you turn browsers into buyers at an incredible rate. So you can sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/crane. That's all lowercase, and it's CRAIN, not spelled like that stupid bird. So go to shopify.com/crane, shopify.com/CRAIN, all lowercase. Do it now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. That's shopify.com/crane. And if you hear this sound, hit it one more time, David.
I'm on it.
Guess what? We just got a car that runs on hope, which is super duper expensive.
Which ain't free.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Let's get to best and worst this weekend.
All right, Blaine, what's your best this weekend?
Oh, boys, I don't know if you saw it. The Flyers dressed up as
awesome.
Rocky over the weekend for
Philadelphia.
the matchup against the Devils. Let's go and roll that footage. Come on, baby.
Yeah, did they win?
Yeah. Hey, yo,
They had to win.
Yes.
Hey.
You can't do that.
You take my picture. Hey, I'm Adrian.
I'm going to beat him up.
Oh, we got a beard. I'm Adrian.
I love this.
Yeah, they lost.
Embrace it.
They didn't lose.
They lost.
They did that and lost?
Yeah, they did and lost.
You dress up like Rocky and lost?
It's the best worst almost situation combined into one. It's the best because the idea was great. It's the worst because of what you put on the ice.
How are the Flyers doing with your bet?
We're doing great. I mean, even with the loss over the weekend, 12.5 points, staring at Kirky from Canada in the face. Look, he can't lose from guys from Canada. It's the way it is.
Okay. Yeah, remember, he has to send you that $50 Canadian bill, which I think is like half of a raccoon's tail.
Yeah.
It's like baked in an oven.
And then it better only be half.
Yeah, my best, college baseball's back, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I was just consumed by it, threw a couple parlays, some big ones. Look, the parity in college baseball, it's always interesting. You know, the first weekend upsets, you see teams, you know, kind of panic. Oh, no, we're ranked high. How did we lose to, you know, James Madison? It's baseball. There's a long way to go. But there were some crazy things that I we're going to get to. Probably the craziest is that one guy in a doubleheader got hit 7 times.
I saw that. Sacramento State?
7 times. And on the 8th time he got hit, the umpire brought him back and says, because he got hit later that week in the 3rd game. Right? So, I mean, getting hit 8 times all year is a decent amount. On the 8th time, the umpire brought him back and said he had to move. But I watched all 7 times. He legitimately got hit by the pitch. I'm going to be honest with you. After the 3rd time, like, I don't care if it's a doubleheader. After the 3rd time you hit me, that 4th time you hit me, I'm coming out.
I got a lot of questions.
No, I'm like, I need to know, like, who dated who? You know, did I steal somebody's girl? Like, did we have a single mom situation going on over there? It's just 7 times. That just seems awfully personal.
Some places is assault.
Yeah.
You go to jail for that.
That is true. All right, a couple bests here. My buddy Roy Roundtree, former Michigan wide receiver, is going to take the wide receiver coaching job at the Miami of Ohio. Congrats, Roy. That's awesome. I didn't watch much of the NBA All-Star game. Maybe you guys can fill me in, but I did see with Charles Barkley just went off on the city of San Francisco.
Oh, this is great.
Charles Barkley's a national treasure.
This is
fantastic.
fantastic.
We have this clip?
The minus, the 17 degrees.
Hey, Reggie. Yes. If you had a chance of being cold or being around a bunch of homeless crooks in San Francisco, when you
We love San Francisco.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
You can't even walk around down there.
Yes, you can walk around.
Yeah, with a bulletproof bag.
Taylor, that little red
I live in
button on that
Arizona.
microphone that says cough.
Look, isn't it great when somebody speaks the
Just
truth?
tells the truth, man.
Just tells the truth. Doesn't just resonate. And you see Draymond and then whoever that was at Candace Parker trying to run cover. Oh, we love San Francisco. Oh, really? You know who doesn't love San Francisco? Walgreens. Or any of these companies that are leaving. It's a disaster. I mean, just look at the poop map.
Yeah, Robert DeSantis held up a poop map. There's no coming back from that.
No.
A poop map.
A poop, that's
a PM?
You're talking about
Wait, how
you
do
wanted
you
to go.
A PM? A PM?
You're wanting to go live in the city to where a guy who's running for president held up a poop map on your city. That's 2 things San Francisco loves.
And I hate
the
that.
Chinese and poop.
Yeah, I hate that.
You can't come back from that.
And I hate that for our friends that we have out in San Francisco that are just, realize how bad it is. But like Charles Barkley, one of the reasons why Charles Barkley is such a national treasure is that he really does, number one, say what he thinks, and you can tell when somebody's being genuine. But also he speaks the truth that other people are afraid to speak. Like other people won't say it. Like it's just so refreshing, right, that we do have some people in media, and we do this in sports media. You're going to know what we think, whether you agree or disagree. I hope you do a little bit of both. But we're going to tell you what we really think, and he's 100% right. Now, when it gets to the NBA All-Star game, why would I watch that? Like, why would I watch that? You know what I would? You know what it needs to be? At least the NFL realized the Pro Bowl just had turned into trash, and they just turned it into a skills challenge.
That used to be the coolest part of those.
That's what I'm saying. Forget the game. Stop playing the game. It's a waste of time. In my opinion, you got a better chance of getting hurt out there lollygagging like that than you do playing full speed. So number 2 is I would much rather just watch Steph Curry, right, shoot threes against some of the best in the world, and we got to get good players back in the dunk contest. Like, if you really want to make the NBA All-Star Weekend legit again, we have to start having the best of the best back in the slam dunk contest. But I don't think that's going to happen. So to me, this is I'm just not watching it. Why would I watch this when other things are going on, like people are walking animals outside my house, or, I got to go get the mail, or anything else is on TV. The British baking show is fantastic.
Well, I think it's a good opportunity for everybody if we get all the all-stars from the WNBA and all the all-stars from the NBA and play a game. Like, if we're not going to really...
They would never do that.
Why not?
Because it would just prove the fact that...
They kind of did that with the skills competition, because Steph was shooting against Ionescu.
Yeah, right? If you're going to do that, let's just have a fun little game out here, guys. Why not? Let's see. Like, the women think they can win, right? I'd watch it.
You'd
watch it?
There's a huge difference between just doing a 3-point contest where nobody is guarding you, as opposed to playing.
This is the first step, though.
Game.
Yeah, I'm saying we're.
Wait, are the teams mixed or is it men versus women?
It's got to be men versus
I know
women.
your answer.
Yeah, it's going to be men versus women.
But like the men would not attempt to play
Then
hard.
get some high school boys.
They're not going to do that. They will never do
was
that.
to play in the NBA All-Star.
You've got a better
and you
chance
give them that dream.
of ESPN teaming up with Fox and Warner Brothers to put together an all one-stop shop sports streaming service.
Well, let me tell you about my next idea.
Kenny Smith's in trouble now because after the 3-point shooting contest, when he was talking about Sabrina should have shot from where the women shoot from. It was talking about she used a smaller ball. We have that clip too.
He said she should have. Did she shoot from the regular?
Play the clip.
Let me hear this.
I think she should have shot from her. She should have shot from the women's line. That would have been a fair contest. I still root for Sabrina. We all are rooting for Sabrina. No. She should have shot from the 3-point line that the women shoot from.
Why are you putting those boundaries on her?
That's not a boundary. That's what the game is.
She wanted to shoot.
They have a smaller ball, don't they?
She shot a WNBA ball.
WNBA ball is smaller.
She shot with the WNBA
yeah, but
ball.
she should have shot from the line.
Yeah.
There's a women's tee in golf and there's a men's tee.
Yeah.
For a reason.
No. He's 100% right.
Shooters shoot. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, but they shoot from where they shoot from. Thank you.
No.
Sabrina,
good job, Sabrina.
I mean, in all fairness, everyone else is losing to Steph in a 3-point shooting. But it's a bigger issue that we're talking about here.
Well, again, if the men are going to shoot from the men's 3-point line, the women should use a women's ball and shoot from the women's 3-point line. I don't think Kenny Smith is saying anything out of the ordinary. I would think it was like that. To be honest with you, I thought it was like that.
I did too.
But I want to take my hat off to Steph Curry. That takes some gumption
to win it.
Well, to even do it though, because let's say even if you don't do well and you lose it.
Yeah.
No, they're going to roast
It's a loser.
Oh, it's hard to be the greatest shooter of all time when you lost to Sabrina, the teenage witch.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a lose-lose. You're not winning out of that situation.
Yeah. All right. You got a worst?
I do have a worst. I mean, more basketball. What Jay Williams said on Caitlin Clark.
Yeah,
Caitlin Clark breaks the all-time scoring record in college basketball, and Jay Williams says, "But she's not great yet. She's not elite yet." I mean,
because she didn't win a championship.
Because she didn't win a championship. Forget about the fact that she's a 3-time gold medalist for the country.
Well,
international play.
If you're going to go that route, then I guess Dan Marino he's not great.
Or even Allen Iverson. I wonder what Jay Williams really thinks about Allen Iverson.
But that's such a bad way to look. You can be great. And now you brought up John Stockton earlier and Karl Malone. What, are they not great? I think, again, Jay Williams does this. And I like Jay Will. Like basketball knowledge-wise, I can listen to him talk about actual basketball things like mechanics all day. But every now and then he just says something just out of left field that you're like, there's no way he actually believes that. He just said that so people will freak out and be like, hey, there's Jay Will. Jay Will said something on game day, right? I don't think he believes that. I really don't. Because if that's the case, then there's so many players. What about the bad players that were on teams that won championships? Are they great? Guys that average 3 points a game? Are they great?
That's where the question then goes, because you have a girl here who's from Iowa who decided to go to Iowa. She was recruited by everyone. She could have gone to Duke. I mean, she's helping put Iowa on the map. Duke helped put Jay Williams on the map.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about it. She could have gone anywhere she wanted to play and could be a 3-time, 4-time champion at this point. Stayed in Iowa. And again, when we start talking about the transfer portal, in an age to see a girl stay with a basketball program who is not, I mean, Iowa's not an elite basketball program in women's basketball. Not when we're talking about the level
before
of
her.
Jay Williams was winning championships.
Yeah.
She's one of the greats.
To not transfer, to stay there and not go join LSU this year or South Carolina or whoever is the favorite to win a championship just to go do it. She stuck with Iowa. I can't stand this mentality.
She's one of the greats, but I'm definitely cooking her one-on-one. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Nobody's
getting cooked.
Nobody's saying, Lane.
I felt
it's the argument is not that you could cook Caitlin Clark.
I felt the doubt in the room.
One-on-one.
I want to set it up to see.
Oh, my.
She get cooked.
Lose. If you lose.
11-1.
Oh, you have to dress up like from Lady Ballers.
That's how I normally dress anyway.
You have to dress as Caitlin Clark.
I have to dress down when I come to work.
All right, we're going to get JD PicKell on here in 1 second. My worst, I got two. The basketball brawls in college basketball. What's going on? Kansas State?
Soft.
Soft
take.
I mean, that one went into the stands, buddy, underneath the goal. And then we had one, I think, Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Wasn't there a UCLA?
Got in a fight. Everybody in basketball is fighting.
I love it.
I just... I don't know, man. I don't want one of the big-time players to get hurt. If you're Kansas, we're going to play a game of who's the most important. Where's Hunter? That's the game we're going to play. Where's that monster?
Who's hurting that thing?
Well, I don't know. There's some other things running around there that are a lot less coordinated.
Is the CCP outside?
It's always going to be the 6'10" goofy dude who can't make a layup, who accidentally trips up the All-American. Now we get bounced in the round of 32.
Section of a stadium to even reach his face.
And then my second one, him and Zach Edey get in a fight. That's going to be Godzilla.
That's called Pacific Rim.
Yeah, that's actually true. They made a movie about that. My last one, Tiger Woods had to withdraw from the Genesis, but it was only flu-like symptoms, right? It wasn't like his knee fell off again or something like that. It was just flu-like symptoms. So
my worst really quick is just whatever Auburn put on the basketball courts this weekend.
I don't want it to. We've moved on. It's one basketball game.
Look, you can't be bad. You can't turn the ball over, play crappy defense, and not shoot well. And Auburn seemed to do all that at the same time.
Get it out.
You go 4-22 from three. I mean, look, there's a
at home.
At home.
Home
look,
gym?
I'm not the best when it comes to
that was their first loss at home.
Listen, you come into my driveway, it's a butter festival 80% of the time. But a bad day is 35%.
Yeah.
That's a bad day at my home.
What'd they shoot?
18% from three.
Not good.
That was their first home loss, wasn't it?
Yeah, in a while. We're just moving on from it. I'm glad they got it out. But speaking of moving on, excited to bring this guy. First time we've had him on the show, doing a great job at On3 with the hard count. I've gone on his show before. It's a lot of fun. Again, what they're doing over there, what Shannon's been able to put together, him and Grant working. It's been awesome. JDP, the Pickler. What's up, dude?
How we doing, fellas? How we doing? I woke up this morning and had to put a full scoop of a pre-workout called Gorilla Mode just to make it to this show.
Yeah,
I mean, y'all getting up at this hour consistently. Nothing but respect for it. Pleasure to be on with y'all.
Dude, I appreciate it. I know Andy's going in the morning now, too. I've talked with him back and forth. Here's my thing, JD, and you'll understand this. You played. I remember when we moved practice to the morning, and I was so pissed. I was like, God, I got to wake up now and go to practice at 7. But all of a sudden, by 9 o'clock, I don't have to worry about practice at 2 o'clock, and it's not as hot in the afternoon. Sometimes getting it out of the way earlier, it can be the move. You know what I'm talking about here.
You've already won the day. What do they say? Eat the frog first? That's the old saying, right? Do the hard stuff first.
Yeah,
that's exactly
the frog
right.
every day. A lot of frog being served up on Crane & Co.
Oh,
look, I'm been down the bayou
every morning. I taste it
to get some frog legs. Listen, I know my buddy David Cohn over here is going to ask you about the new commissioner of the Pac-2. I'm not calling it the Pac-12 anymore. There's 2 of them, and they're just hanging out in the Mountain West right now. JD, I want to kind of look ahead to next year a little bit. And obviously we have a bunch going on with the conference realignment. But when you look at the Big Ten, out of the teams that are going from the Pac-2 now, that was the Pac-12, into the Big Ten, who do you think is gonna make the best first impression? Is it, I feel like maybe the teams from the colder areas, right, that aren't from Southern California, having to go play Iowa and playing East Lansing later in the year. Is there a team you're looking at? Washington's going through a lot of changes right now. Is there one team you're looking at and you're like, I think they will probably have the most success, and why is it Oregon?
I was about to say, I don't think I'm in the unpopular opinion in saying that Oregon is without question set up for success in the Big Ten. I mean, just what they have on their roster right now, they have big human beings to compete to today, June. You're like, I know UCLA is trying to figure things out with Deshaun Foster. And I mean, I'm from Southern California, so anytime USC is doing well, like that's always selfishly fun to see guys from that area of the country having success. But Oregon, the way they're recruiting, and like I just said, the way that they play on the line of scrimmage, I mean, that's going to translate right away. Yeah. And so I don't think there's any question that Oregon, especially with what they went and got through the transfer portal, adding Dylan Gabriel with all his experience and what he's going to bring to the table there, I think Oregon's set up for success right away.
Yeah, and we always talk about the most important thing going on right now in the ever-shifting landscape of college football is continuity and stability. Bringing in a quarterback, even though he wasn't at Oregon, a guy like Dylan Gabriel, who's played college football for the last 30 years, you mix him with what Dan Lanning has built up front, and you can go. And I think their style of play, too, JD, the way Oregon plays, the way they want to play, I think it does translate a little bit more to the way that the Big Ten's kind of rough and tumble, because Dan's tried to build Oregon like an SEC team, similar to the way that Kyle Whittingham has done at Utah, which I think that, and we've been saying this since the merger was made, that Utah is maybe set up to go in and win the Big 12 next year, JD, with Texas and Oklahoma going the SEC. Maybe Utah fills the vacuum with the Dark Knight coming back at quarterback.
Yeah, them in Arizona, I think are going to have a chance to be 1-2 right off the bat in the Big 12. And Utah, to me, is what I would call like a cockroach team. Like there's a couple of teams every single year in college football, doesn't matter who they lost, doesn't matter what their record was the year before or how they match up. Like they're just always tough to kill. And just that's the way it's going to be for whatever reason. And Utah is just consistently one of those teams. And I don't think they'll have any issue going to the Big 12. I mean, you subtract the two most talented rosters in Texas and Oklahoma from that conference, feels pretty wide open from the jump. And I think Utah might have a chance to be the most talented roster and at least have the most experienced quarterback in Cam Rising. Yeah. So I'm excited for them. I think they're going to have a chance to be, potentially might have a new team winning the Big 12 and the Big 10 when it comes to this upcoming season.
Boy, that would be wild. You know, we talked about the teams the Big 12 and your mark added before this, which is Houston, BYU, Cincinnati, and UCF. Hell, they got Utah, Arizona State, Colorado coming down the pipe. I mean, Brett Yormark out there just snapping necks and cashing checks, baby.
Playing physical football, still a winning strategy. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought
that physicality is still the name of the game? All right, JD, let's get down to the Pac-12 here, if you can still call it that. Maybe that should actually be the question. At what point does the Pac-12 have to change its name?
You just be the Pac?
And you're just the Pac. You're Pac-Man.
We're trying to make fetch work, Gretchen.
Or the Pac-Woman, because that gets to my question here. They have officially appointed Teresa Gould as the new commissioner of effective March the 1st. So we have a couple more weeks here. Gould will become the first woman to serve as commissioner of a Power 5, or what they're saying, an Autonomy 5 conference here. You're not setting her up for a lot of success. You know, I don't really even know what my actual question is other than what is the future of the Pac-12 going to be, and where do we
set it again
here? Pac-2.
The Tupac. Yeah, I mean, my first thought was, I don't know why you would jump on this sinking ship necessarily. But then I got to thinking about it more. It's like, if she overachieves and the Tupac ends up having some success in the future and somehow, some way, they just become relevant in the college football landscape, like Teresa Gould's getting a statue somewhere. You know what I mean? I mean, if she's able to kind of resurrect this thing and just get a C+ on the group project, like we're throwing parties in Pullman and out there in Pac-12. Tupac country. So I'm curious to see how this looks. There's a lot of things about this that, quite frankly, are just odd, and that's kind of where we are in college football. Like the fact that she was a deputy commissioner and she was at Cal for a period of time. Like she knows what she's signing up for. But very, very weird deal. But I think the bar for success, or what we would consider success, is pretty low. And so if they can have an exciting product, like there could be some encouraging things to take from it.
Yeah, I see why she would do it, but I feel like this is either going to end up like Joan of Arc, or like the Sarah Fuller.
Yeah, I agree. Like either the grading card of A, B, C, and D. Like you said, that's how it's survive or die.
It's like, if again, JD's right. The bar is low. If you have any semblance of success, you're a hero, right?
That's just living, right?
You're Joan of Arc. That's just
and that's why the conference alive.
Yes, just keeping it alive. Which, look, I mean, again, sometimes you got to hook somebody up to the ventilator and just hope for a while. But if you look on the other side with Sarah Fuller, is this going to be a situation where if it does go bad, well, we'll still just call her special teams player of the week because, hey, why not, right? It's a cool thing to do.
I hope that's not the
move. Guys.
I hope that's not the move because you're setting her up for failure too. But either way, one more before Blaine jumps in, just because you brought up USC. Look, Lincoln Riley is a heck of a football coach, man. I mean, one of the best football coaches in the country. Gets off to a hot start when he goes to USC. Last year, his desire to stick with Alex Grinch at defensive coordinator for the past couple seasons, I think surprised a lot of us. Blaine and I thought there's no way USC is going to be as bad on defense as they were the previous year, and the wheels completely fell off the bus there. What's the future going to look like for Lincoln Riley and USC?
Yeah, that's a great question because I was in the same boat as y'all. Like they went to the portal and got way better personnel-wise, but the defense was just, horrific. So I think the encouraging thing to me is they've made some changes, whether it was willfully or against their will, on that staff with Dan Lynn and Eric Henderson. My big thing is there has to be a philosophy change because I think the personnel was good enough to do much better than they did last season. They got some of those key guys back in Bear Alexander, but we watched USC last year and it wasn't like they were just getting out schemed. It was like you got guys one-on-one missing tackles or were, not being able to hold our assignment in man coverage. And so to me, that's like a what are you doing behind closed doors kind of thing. Like, why are your guys missing tackles one-on-one? Okay, we're not probably tackling enough in practice, or we're not repping the right things in practice to be able to be set up for success. So I think it's that paired with the philosophy of we all understand this. Like, there's a lot to do in LA, especially if you're a college kid and you get some NIL dollars, you get some money. Like there's a lot of things at your fingertips. And I think in a city like that, it is ultra important to have a culture where you have your locker room locked into, okay, I'm playing USC football. I'm not here to do Los Angeles. And I think from what I understand from some people that are close to that operation, they've kind of said as much like, hey, we had guys that weren't totally all in on what we were doing here at USC. They wanted to go do Los Angeles. They wanted to do Hollywood. And so, you can't serve two masters, especially when you're playing Division I college football on national TV every week. So for Lincoln Riley, this staff changed offensively. If they can change philosophies, they have some personnel to be more successful. Now, how successful is that? We're going to see because you lose the Heisman Trophy winner, and you went 7-5 with him in a lesser conference last year. So the future for me this year, if you can go 8-4 with that schedule, I think you marked it up to not success, but maybe an encouraging landmark to move forward with. And we'll see where we are in a couple of years if you can get the right defensive lineman there.
Yeah. Well, it's this was my one question. When USC did hire Lincoln Riley, that's why when there was the Lincoln Riley to LSU rumors, to me that was the better fit because that dog, that identity of just getting after someone's ass is built into LSU. I know they were bad on defense last year, right? But most of all, that attitude is there. If it's not going to work, because he had the same problem at Oklahoma. This is basically the exact same problem, pretty much worse. Right? Then when he started at Oklahoma, you were really good on offense. You had incredible quarterbacks, but you were softer than Charmin Ultra on defense. And it looked like guys quit and didn't want to be physical. Right? So you think going from Norman, Oklahoma, in a place where there's nothing to do but eat fried cheese and play football, which is great. I'm from a small college football town too, where you can really narrow their focus. But then you're going to go to LA and somehow become a bunch of tough asses. Like I'm with JD. It's got to be philosophy and identity. That starts with the head coach. Like if you watch the way that Dan Lanning's guys play from a physicality standpoint, as opposed to Lincoln, she's got Lincoln Riley's like, all right, guys, listen, this afternoon, I just want to make sure everybody's just friends with everybody. We've got a meeting about the Library of Congress at 3, and then we're going to go out and not tackle for 6 hours. At some point, somebody's got to start biting through helmets and headbutting lockers. Like, when does that transformation happen? I just feel like Lincoln's soft. I'm sorry. That's what it feels like to me.
You encourage what you allow, right? If you're allowing guys to be, and I don't know what's going on behind closed doors there, but based on what's happening on Saturdays, if you're not going to be hard during the week during practice and you're going to trot out there on Saturdays and do what you do, I'm with you. It's got to be a total philosophy change. And I think Oregon's a great example because last couple of seasons, or I'll rephrase that, previous eras under Mark Helfrich and Chip Kelly, we talked about Oregon being really flashy, the uniforms, kind of similar to how we're talking about USC being all flash and no substance. That was Oregon a couple of seasons ago before Dan Lanning got there and did this total rebrand. And we've seen in college football too, if you want to be a successful head coach, got to be able to adapt. Why was Saban over the course of the last, decade plus? Because he was adapting his philosophy, adapting his offense, adapting his personnel defensively. And Lincoln Riley just has pretty much stayed the same throughout the course of his head coaching career, and that's why we're seeing USC be just abysmal offensively, or abysmal defensively, rather, pretty much since he's been there.
I mean, Blaine, it's the interview. Same,
but different. But
still same. Still same.
All right, JD, this is on. No new college football game coming out in July.
Yeah.
What program is JD PicKell changing forever?
Already got Kent State, JD. You can't have them. Blaine's got Old Dominion. David, still, we don't know yet.
So any conference in the G5, obviously.
You pick your team. All right, we're going to custom conference it, but we're going with, you got to get a team with the same prestige. I believe we'll probably go 3 stars or less.
Yeah, 3 stars or less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? I'll run it with the boys out there in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Give me EMU, Chris Creighton and the boys through the wall, baby. Gray Field.
Hard nose.
Are you kidding me?
Hard nose.
It's blue collar, hard hat operation, lunch pail every single Wednesday or Saturday, depends on when we're playing. The boys are going all the way. I'm excited about EMU. I got dibs on the EMU boys.
God, I can already feel the Eastern Michigan Kent State game is going to be a big one.
You're Kent State.
I'm Kent State.
EMU, which is great. Big shout out to Ypsilanti. Old Dominion.
Yeah.
I'm riding with Georgia Southern.
Of course. I get that. I get that. You're from Statesboro. I get that. I mean, listen, out in Ypsilanti, you're going to football practice and you go work on the railroad.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's no... there's
in an order that would surprise
you. In an order that would surprise you.
All right, JD, we're going to get to the chat here. We're going to go to Chase Mills with the $10 donation. Been doing my whole life, JD. Says, can we get your thoughts on Jackson Arnold going to his first year steering the wagon, pun intended, and whether you lean the over-under on wins 7.5?
I lean the over. But that number, like, it's a little bit surprising when you look at it because you're like, Oklahoma, 7.5 wins. That doesn't really compute totally. They got a brutal schedule through the Sooners. And Jackson Arnold, his first year being starting quarterback. Oh, by the way, it's in the SEC. I'll lean the over because for me, I think Brent Venables and that defense is going to continue to look more and more Brent Venables-ish. And I think if Jackson Arnold can just kind of like they said, if he can kind of steer the wagon, steady the ship, whatever kind of phrase you want to put to it, if they can be able to play in shootouts against teams like potentially LSU, like an Ole Miss, like Texas, if they can have that extra gear to them offensively, I like the over of 7.5 wins. We'll roll with that with the Sooners.
Yeah. You're going to get up and down play from a young quarterback. He's got the tools. I mean, JD, you'd agree. I mean, he's got the tools to do it. Yeah. It's just you watch the turnovers. Sometimes you got to get through sicknesses to build up your immune system, man. That's just part of it.
All right, let's go to the boxiest of llamas. What is that, my guy? JD, he wants to know what would be the one thing that keeps the Ohio State Buckeyes from winning a natty this year.
The one thing that keeps Ohio State from winning a natty this year. Let's go with Will Howard. I don't buy the thought that he is Kyle McCord plus. I think he brings a little bit more to the table, more experience, more mobility. But do they have kind of what I said about Oklahoma? Do they have that extra gear offensively that we've seen those Ohio State teams have that would make the 14 college football playoff? I mean, C.J. Stroud and what he was doing when he was there. So I think if they have that extra gear offensively, they'll be in good shape. I have no question if they'll run the football. I have no question if they'll play good defense. But is Will Howard that guy to kind of be that change agent for you is my big question for them long term.
Definitely. Well, JD, you're always that guy, man. We love bringing you on, and I know this is the first time we're going to do this many times.
Yeah.
Love keeping up with you, what you guys are doing over there at On3, man. And we appreciate you getting up this morning with us. Tell everybody 100%. Where they can find you.
100%. Well, no, I appreciate that. Pleasure to be on with y'all, man. Yeah, we're going to be on the air here in, a matter of 2.5 hours, so 11 a.m. Eastern, over here on the On3 YouTube channel, Talking Ball. If you want to do podcasts, you type in the Hard Count with JD PicKell, and we're on there as well. But no, I appreciate it, boys. Hey, I'm fired up for this NCAA, or what do we call it? CFB 25, whatever whatever the game is going to be called. I'm fired up for it. Yeah, and let's go Eagles.
I'm definitely stealing your signs and poaching your players. So
yeah, Blaine, you're going to have to. You can't play.
And I'm the commissioner of the league, so we'll see what I can get away with.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not the commissioner.
Good old fashioned.
Definitely not the commissioner.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't hire the Joker to be the commissioner of Gotham.
You never know.
We appreciate you, JD.
Appreciate it, boys.
JD PicKell, a real one, real recognized, real. All right, I want to get to the call-ins. All right, but first, look, we always talk about looking good and playing good. Talked about Oregon's flashy uniforms, but we don't all walk around in uniforms, right? Not all football players or police officers or train conductors or members of the CIA. Some of us have to go out in the real world with the way we look. Maybe you're worried about your hair thinning. Maybe it's already thinning. Maybe the thinning is just beginning.
Hawk venom
is cinnamon, get them in. But with Provia, they'll have you looking good, They'll have you feeling good. They'll have you playing good. Maybe that girl at the office you've been trying to impress, maybe she'll take a second look, right? Maybe, your wife or girlfriend, whatever, but, heat things up in a good way. So what is Provia? Well, they have a secret ingredient called Procapil. That's all you need to know about it. But the coolest thing is, regardless of age, hair color, style, or whatever, it is not dangerous, and it will help you be more confident and put more hair in your head than there is in the shower or on the comb. And that's the whole goal, right? That's the whole goal.
True.
All right. And Provia, fantastic product, as I mentioned. Don't wait. Your full thick hair starts today. And if you order now, you'll save an extra 10% at proviahair.com/booster. I'm going to spell it. Calm down. It's PROVIA hair.com/booster. It works, or you get 100% of your money back. So ditch those hats. All right. Stop being afraid to look people in the eyes and show off your amazing head of hair today. That's proviahair.com/booster. Turn a hairy situation into a hairy situation. Let's get to calls, David.
All right, let's go to Trey in Atlanta. Trey, how are you?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Trey, what's up, dude?
Hey, just I thought it was kind of ironic that you guys should talk about the Steph Curry situation with the three-point contest, and then Blaine gets on the women versus men's basketball event, which I think would be absolutely hysterical and would never happen. So we all know that you guys made the movie about how much of a joke it is to have men and women's sports. But in the Booster Club the other day, we were chatting about how a lot of us think it's actually just as silly to have girls competing in boys sports, at the younger ages. I can kind of make understand for 6 or 7 year old kids, but I think at some point, and this can be up for debate, but I think boys need their own space. Period. Like what you guys were alluding to is a lose-lose situation for Steph Curry. Luckily he won, but if he had lost, he would have been ridiculed forever. And I think this all stems from that girl winning. She won fair and square in a wrestling competition. She was the first girl to ever win. I forget which state it was. But I think that's good for her, whatever. But hey, I think you should still compete with your own people. Like, you should compete. If you're a girl, compete with girls, even if you compete with guys.
Yes.
And if you're a guy, you compete with guys. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you can beat them as a girl. Like, the boys should still have an opportunity to be themselves, right? So I wanted to get y'all's opinion, but specifically, David, as a fellow father of 3 with 1 boy and 2 girls. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Because we were debating, and a lot of us wanted to see what y'all thought. So
yeah, I mean, look, my daughters are just a year old and a newborn right now, so it'll be interesting to see how my philosophy on this progresses, especially when you talk about the 5 and 6 year old girls, and do you even have enough kids in the neighborhood to field a team, and the guys and the girls, or the boys and the girls can play together, but. When it gets up to once you hit puberty, like, of course, I'm not even having this conversation. I'm not watching my daughters play against any men in any sport. It doesn't matter if it's, how physical the game is or what we're talking about. And I love that you're bringing up keeping the women out of men's sports too. We only talk about one side of this mostly because of the safety concerns over it. But yes, agreed. Like, men need their spaces too. And also when we talk about, especially a sport like football, you bring the girls out to play football against the guys, how much does that change their approach to the game? Like, I wouldn't have been going.
I can't come downhill and take a chick out.
How are you going to do that?
What am I going to do? Oh, wait, here they just ran here comes Jessica running the ball in the power. What, I come downhill and just destroy her? What, I'm supposed to wake up or get up and celebrate?
That's a completely different conversation than a 5-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl who's bigger than him playing soccer together in the neighborhood because you have to field a team. That's not even the same conversation.
No, yeah, totally get that. And that's what I'm saying. There's got to be a line somewhere, right? But, because the girls can compete with boys up to a certain age. And then at some point, they can't. But
10 years old? We say 10?
Feels like
double digits?
And even more than the age, I think the sport matters too. Like, for instance, when I talk about a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old playing softball or baseball together or soccer together, that's one thing. But again, like, hockey, for instance, I wouldn't even want a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old playing hockey or football, like those physical sorts of sports. Let's go ahead and tell the guys, like, hey, this is your space for guys to play hockey against each other. And if the girls want to play hockey, let's find enough.
Is there that big of a physical difference though when you're?
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem. What happens when you let this keep going and you let physical sports between girls and boys get older and older and older, and then you have a whole generation of boys that have beat the hell out of girls for 8 years, and now they're 18 years old, and they've been playing football and hockey and taking girls out all the time, and they don't view women the same way that I view women, where you don't put your hands on a woman or you don't physically hurt a woman unless your life is in danger or your family's life is in danger. Like, to me, it sets a very biologically dangerous precedent. And here, clip five. Can we pull up clip 5 with the Lowell College Charter School and KIPP Academy if we have it? If we can do that with the phone calls up, because you can see even in basketball what happens. It's absolutely devastating. So, all right, I guess you can't. Trey, I think you're exactly right. I think you're exactly right.
Yep. I just want to get y'all's opinion. I appreciate it. I know that this is one of those subjects that isn't probably on the periphery, not talked about, but I think it's just as important, because you can't say one thing, right? You can't have guys and girls sports, but and not say the other way around. I think it has to be both. So
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. Trey, thanks for the call. I want to play this clip, Dave, because they had to stop this game because so many girls got hurt. Because this dude who, again, I don't want to keep going down this rabbit hole, but how your parents can allow this is disgusting, and how this individual can allow this is disgusting. How you could be proud of this individual, it's a joke. Let's play the clip. Look at this. That's a guy playing against girls, hurting girls. Oh, then you want to help her up? You clown. Absolute clown. Disgusting. Here, y'all can talk.
The school that forfeited at halftime still put out a statement that said, mostly we support inclusion and acceptance, and they couldn't even come out and actually say why they had to stop playing the game.
Y'all know
that's what's disgusting. Right? The people who let that dude on the court. That's what's disgusting to me, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
all right. Next one up here, Chris in Birmingham, Alabama. Chris, how are you?
Hey guys, how are y'all doing today?
What's up, man?
Hey, so did y'all watch the Daytona 500 last night?
I did watch it yesterday. I was out to eat and watched it. I know they had to move it because of the rain, but yeah, a lot of left turns.
Yeah, it was awesome left turns.
Who did you want to win it?
Well, I wanted Kyle Larson to win, and then I wanted Rod Chastain to win, but seeing the 24 car get out there, that was pretty cool and get the win. I was a big Jeff Gordon fan growing up. Hey, but I have another thing, because I know you guys aren't big into NASCAR. I got another thing that has just been eating my brain up for about 2 weeks now that Blaine said last week, and I've been spurging out over it.
Oh, great. God.
Okay, so y'all were bringing up robots in football.
Yes.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Me being the NASCAR guy, I know a thing about post-race and pre-race inspections. How are we supposed to get all of these robot guys out there and do a post-game and pre-game inspection? How's that going to play out?
I mean, look, let's get a couple guys from the pit crew, maybe a NASCAR, to get out there and just look at the nuts and bolts, make sure hey, maybe this leg steals a little bit.
It's like Siri. It's what it's like. I mean, it'll be the post-game press conference will just be perfectly said.
No, he's not talking about press conference. He's talking about inspection to make sure that you're not making your robots out of antimanium while everybody else is making them out of aluminum.
There's no inspections. As long as you don't have any weapons, it's okay.
So there's no rules or parameters?
No. Whoever has the
who you're talking to over there?
It's the same thing like college football. The best teams are going to win. People get different types of running backs, receivers, tight ends. You get different types of robots, and the best robots are going to win. It's the way of the road.
Sometimes I get afraid for Blaine to get really good at math or science. Because Blaine is like the Lex Luthor origin. Like, I just hope nothing happens to where, oh no, he hit his head and now he's like a genius. Because
thanks.
I'm talking about like mathematics.
It takes something like that.
Yeah.
Well, look, I've seen Oppenheimer, and right? I'm using heavy water right now.
Yeah, you just get a big bucket that's heavy and you put water in it.
Yeah, and then you swirl it around.
What do you think about that, Chris? Heavy water.
Heavy water?
Yeah, we're 8 months ahead.
We are. Somebody blow up that pipeline in Norway. Thanks, Chris. That does.
It'd be a watch, though. You look.
I'd watch it, of course.
I still go back to the NFL. I think it's the Fox commercials with those huge-ass robots.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You want to see something. You want to see someone come downhill. That's what you're watching 2 semi-trucks wreck.
Yeah, Transformers.
You're legitimately watching.
No, here's the question, though. If they did start like a robot football league, do you think let's say they played on Friday, right? I know high school's playing Friday. I'm just doing a hypothetical. I'm talking about robot football players. If, let's say, you had a robot football league Friday, college football with humans Saturday, NFL football with humans Sunday.
There's no more.
Do you think
there's no more people?
There's no more.
There's no more. You think the robots
playing football? No, look, humans aren't playing.
It's robots playing football, and it's kids getting paid to play as that robot.
Okay, see, this is Blaine trying to turn NCAA football into real life with robots so he can play.
If you get this video 25 years from now, just know I was right.
Yeah. We'll see.
Society has crumbled.
Chris, very interesting.
We're already there. Society's already crumbled.
Did you watch the video we played before this?
Yeah. Some band kids dunking on chicks.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, some dude looks like he dresses up Robin Hood in his free time.
Yeah, let's see. You know what we should do? We'll build a bunch of robots, and then they'll play the chicks at the NFL All-Star game. I mean,
thanks,
come on.
Chris.
That's something I'd tune in for.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Have a good day.
Appreciate it, Chris.
Man. All right, let's go to Kirk in Canada. Kirk, did you happen to see Blaine's video of the Flyers running out?
Yeah. Kirk wants to be ninja.
He does.
Did you tell all the listeners who won that Flyers-Leafs game the other night there?
Do you know Kirk?
Or no?
All right, everybody. Kirk from Canada. Appreciate
Thanks,
you
Kirk
calling
from
in,
Canada.
Kirk. I don't see any ketchup chips.
He's still. I mean, the Flyers are. How many points are we back?
Like, we're not worried. Hashtag not worried.
I didn't check the totals this morning, but it was pretty even. I think it was like 62 points.
And right, remember that, Kirky, remember that deal, all right? You have to send me $50,000, and you have to drive a truck in Canada for a year.
Maple Leafs, 68 points, and Flyers scanning 65 points.
Only 3 back. We're getting toward the end, though. The playoffs is what, April?
We got a couple months.
Yeah, the playoffs are in April. Yeah, Toronto's hot right now. Since I talked to you last, Austin Matthews himself has scored 7 goals.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Hey, Kirk, can I ask you something?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know what Scrapple is?
I saw something about that on X there, something about Mr. Cohn liking the stuff, but I don't know.
Do you know what Scrapple is?
They said it's.
Let's get somebody on the line from Pennsylvania.
If they're not eating in Canada, then
listen. If your answer is let's get somebody on from Pennsylvania to comment on this food and it's not chocolate, I don't care, David.
I love this because, see, I'm going to win. They're going to eat this. They're going to love it. It's going to be like my version of the Buc-ee's scenario.
Is it spam? Is it like spam? If it's like spam, I can
I ate Buc-ee's this weekend.
Did you? What'd you get?
I got the big brisket. The big bucking brisket.
Then I'm jealous of you.
It was phenomenal.
Does it taste like spam?
I don't know about that.
Or just like crap? Well, it's got the word crap in it. Scrapple.
It's the scraps.
It's got the word crap in it, David.
It's the pork scraps. I'm not going over this again.
It's what the people at the bottom of the Titanic ate.
Yeah, that exactly. And don't you want to be eating what they're eating when it comes to breakfast food? Okay?
No, that's like the 3rd Titanic reference today. We're on fire.
You might have to send me some of this Scrabble so I can give it a
Oh, yeah. Don't worry. You don't even have to refrigerate it. We can send it by mules back.
Just go outside and start eating your front lawn.
Drop
you already sent
raisins
us ketchup,
dirt.
so we do owe you.
Yeah. Oh, man. Thanks, Kirk.
Thanks, man.
Good luck up there, buddy.
See you, Kirk.
All right, let's go to Cody in Illinois.
Cody.
What do you know about Scrapple?
All right. Who is ready for the new leg of Cody's wonderful world of simulated sports?
Oh, who is it?
Oh, wow.
Let it be me.
All right. So the year is 2007, and Jake Crane is high school early.
Yes.
To play college baseball, and the whole world wants to know what school will he choose.
No one cares.
Would you sit down? Obviously, you do. Why don't you just turn into Panic
Cody
Skywalker?
That's fine.
First off, Cody, thank you for giving me this platform. I would like to announce that I will be committing to play baseball
What JUCO is
at
Jake going to in Alabama?
Auburn University. Or the University of Auburn. The way that
This is the guy you pick.
Yeah. Where are you going to go?
Auburn.
Colorado Tech?
Hey, they're pretty good this year.
The Scientists?
All right. So Auburn is the choice. Now, what primary position will you be playing?
Oh, he's a catcher for
third. The hot corner. Hit it at me. Fight me.
Third base?
Third base.
All right. So I will be simulating either 1 or 2 series a week, depending on the team schedule, and I will be calling in weekly with updates.
Thank you, Cody.
Whatever.
I've been working hard.
All right. And then just like EA Sports did to David Cohn in NCAA Football 07, we will be building Jake's character to a 68 overall. And I will come up with a few different builds, and I'll be corresponding with you guys over X to see what build we're going to choose. All right?
Jackton Tan, if that's available, Jackton Tan.
Weekend Pale, I heard, is an option.
Deadpool.
All right, that's definitely the one we're going to go with.
Or Deadpool, yeah, it's a great archetype.
What?
All right, Blaine, I know you're the impatient little brother, but don't worry.
I don't want one. It's fine, Cody. I don't want one.
God, Cody, I love his phone call.
It's fine, Cody. Whatever, dude.
No,
we're tight.
No, Cody. Appreciate it. I'm really starting to like Illinois more and more the more you call in and do things like this.
Hey, I love what you cooked for dinner last night. It looked great. That's me watching you through your.
Oh my goodness,
Cody, thanks, buddy.
Man.
We appreciate
it, man. Thanks. All right, let's go to Josh in North Carolina. Josh, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Blaine, if you just want your life simulated, you should just play as the Joker.
Yeah, he should.
You.
Josh, you know what I think should happen? I think you should make a player of me on NCAA football, and then that can be like our thing, right? When you call in, that can be an our thing.
Nah,
that can be our thing. Josh.
Don't steal Cody's swag.
Come on, dude. I'll pay you $25 a month.
Oh gosh. All right. But the reason I called in is because a certain personality, sorry, my voice, Chris Marler, he announced he was stepping down, and I didn't realize my calls were that powerful, so I just wanted to apologize to Chris Marler. I didn't know I was
you heard him, Josh.
in his feelings that much, but you know.
We're gonna get Chris back on.
No, in all seriousness, I hope he does land, back better.
Oh yeah, Chris will be fine.
Whatever the situation is. I'm just joking around here, but
no, you're good.
Reason I called is because I watched Daytona yesterday, and it was kind of crazy that somebody who grew up just racing virtually actually won the Daytona 500 instead of just actually growing up racing. I just thought that was kind of fascinating. And also, like on Sunday, because all the race got postponed to Monday, me and my dad were just watching old like NASCAR fights and races, and one of the fights we watched was obviously the fight back in '79 of Donnie Allison and Cale Yarborough, and then we watched his, I believe it was his brother, retell the story last year on Dale Jr.'s podcast, and the hatred was still there because he said he's glad Cale Yarborough didn't put his hands on him because he would have killed him, and I was like, coming from an 84-year-old man, that's pretty powerful, but
oh, for sure.
I don't know. It's just crazy how hatred can run that deep for just years later. But,
competition, man. You get a bunch of competitive dudes around each other at that high-level competition where you got a lot of money to win and a lot of fame to get.
The guy who won out grew up playing like racing virtually. Is that what you're saying, Josh?
Yeah, he grew up playing iRacing, I believe is the name, and now he won the Daytona 500, but he didn't really race at all.
That's where racing's going as well. I mean,
Ready Player One?
Sooner or later, there's not going to be anybody in these cars that are racing.
So there's just going to be robots playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's just going to be self-driving cars going 1,000 miles an hour.
And we're officially done. We're officially doomed.
We're just going to get so fat. Even fatter. Like, if you look, have you ever seen videos?
We're gonna be like,
have you ever seen videos like us in the 30s and the 20s where nobody is fat? Then you turn on the TV and people are so fat their eyes are closed.
I don't know what movie it is, but it's an animated movie where like people go up to space and
Mulan.
Wally.
It's
Wally.
Wally. That's it. Where everybody goes to space and just gets super fat because they have everything they need.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. I saw a picture the other day from like the what was it? Like it must have been just a circus or something. It was like world's fattest man. And they showed a picture of him from like 120 years ago. And today that's just like...
He's like 200 pounds?
Well, that's aisle 3 at Walmart.
It was gorgeous.
Dude, listen, I'm going to be honest with y'all. And there's still two things that scare me. And I'm going to tell one of them after bets that I saw on Netflix that you guys got to hear because I didn't believe it and then looked up and it's true. Number one, when I was coaching out in a small town in Kansas, they had a super Walmart. And they told me, they're like, don't go into super Walmart in this small town in Kansas past 11 o'clock. They're like, I swear there's mutants walking around. David, I'm not kidding. It was like 11:30. You remember where?
Yeah.
I was walking to Super Walmart, and I saw a half fish, half person.
No, you didn't.
Okay, you say that. Head shaped like a shark. I swear I saw gills coming out. I'm just telling you.
You ever seen the movie The Hills Have Eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Walmart.
They do.
They have eyes?
They do. They got eyes, they got ears, they got gills, they got all type of stuff. Josh, thanks for the call, buddy.
Josh.
Welcome
I can't wait for you to make that guy on NCAA football of me. Appreciate it.
No, don't do it.
$25 a month, Josh.
All right, everybody else on the line, call in tomorrow, please. We'll get to you then.
All right. Bets.
Don't even write my bets up there.
You didn't even send them.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
They're in the chat. I'm looking at them.
No, you did. In the chat? Mm-hmm. Like our text chat?
Yeah.
When did you send it? What time?
I sent it at 6:15.
Well, everybody gets theirs in basically about 6. So by the time 6:15 hits,
okay.
I'm getting ready emotionally for the show. Also, last time I checked, you weren't Stephen Hawking. You can stand your ass up over here and come write the bets in. So
y'all make fun of my handwriting.
Here's what I got tonight. Well, then don't write like a 10-year-old.
You know, I just can't win. That's fine.
He's so hurt about the
You make him a
game
baseball guy. Who even
we're mixing it up.
Game, Cody.
Yeah, they do. You can even build your own ballpark. Grow up, Peter Pan.
The game.
Here's what I got tonight. Baylor, BYU over 155. The suits from BYU, they can shoot. And then Tennessee on the road at Missouri, which might as well be misery this year. Poor Dennis Gates. It's more like the gates of hell the way they're playing. Give me the Volunteers minus 11.5. That's going off at minus 110. David, what you stepping in?
UConn minus 2.5 on the road. That's minus 110. And I'm going to take Baylor plus 4.5 minus 110.
I love it. I'm going to stop hating and start participating.
I'm trying.
Right.
What did I do?
You know who said that?
No.
That's fine.
Okay.
I thought Tupac said that.
That's your favorite. All right. My bets today, apparently it's nothing. And those odds are going off at nothing. And the other one's at over-under on nothing. No, but seriously, David, bet Buzz, I'm rolling with UConn. Is UConn just going to kill everybody for the rest of the year?
It looks like them and everybody else.
They did to Marquette over the weekend. Just discussing that's going off at minus 2.5. And give me Texas Tech at home going off at minus 5.5, minus 110. They're playing TCU, which is a gritty group. All right, but I think Texas Tech comes through today.
All right, let's get to the...
all right, let's get to some donos. Let's start off with Steve Miller. We're talking about the band, baby. With $5 donation. He says, I'm from Michigan, and Scrapple, to me, is homemade Spam, green face, puke face, green face, puke.
Look, I like Spam. I will eat Spam and eggs. If it is like Spam, and when I mean like Spam, I mean it is Spam. Maybe that's the northern Spam, which I don't know how you ate that, David, because you're from Georgia.
Yeah. Luckily, I had a family member who married somebody who knew about Scrapple.
Amish? Is it an Amish thing?
It is.
Or a Mennonite thing?
It is. But
now, so there's like no taste.
This person in my family was from like Washington, D.C. or Baltimore or something.
That's crazy. All right, let's go to Oh Danny Girl, the girl who said I look like I eat glue with a $5 donation. What's up, Danny? Appreciate that. LSU women's basketball at least gets to the Elite Eight, but with the scrappiness of the LSU men's basketball team, could they at least get a shot at the NIT?
NIT, yeah. Look, you look at LSU's schedule. That was a huge win on the road at South Carolina. I even tweeted about this. I don't think anybody's going to win out in the SEC from here on out toward the end. But if you look at LSU's schedule, find me a schedule that's lighter than LSU's down the stretch. You get Kentucky at home, which is going to be tough. But all your tough games are at home. You've got a lot against the lower part of the SEC, the Missouris. You do got Arkansas on the road, but if you're going to have to play a team on the road, Arkansas is a great team to play on the road right now, and Bud Walton. I think LSU could make a little bit of a run here, and not just an NIT, but possibly an NCAA tournament bid. This is where the conference being good helps you out at the end, right? There's some games that won't help you as much, but there's so many good teams in the SEC. You're going to run into a couple wins that could help you. Then you have the SEC tournament, which keeps you alive in it, regardless, because if you win that, you get the automatic qualifying bid. I wouldn't take them out of the NCAA tournament just yet.
Let's go to Jack Hogan with the $5 donation. Jack, appreciate it, brother. Florida, Ole Miss, and Missouri are at the bottom of the league in baseball right now. And a big shout out to St. John's for still wearing Rawlings gear. Rawlings gear, probably the best stuff you can wear playing.
Yeah, that was the glove that I used. It's going a lot better for St. John's baseball than it is in St. John's basketball after Rick Pitino basically went to the press conference and was like, yeah, our team, they're just not good.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was
yeah, brutal.
How do you come back from that? How do you...
Not even that they're not good, like calling individual players out by name.
Yeah, like, man, that's tough.
It's tough. Let's go to Cantorius with a $5 donation. Let's be honest. Barkley could have called out L.A., Seattle, Portland, and San Diego, basically every West Coast city.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Let's go to another one from Will Hyatt, $5 donations. The Devils came out to the Sopranos theme song, dressed in tracksuits and gold chains. Flyers didn't stand a chance. You should have picked us.
Wait a minute. So you had the Flyers dress up as Rocky and the New Jersey Devils dress up as the Sopranos?
That was the same game?
The same game. That is
I forgot
awesome.
what it's some rival.
That is awesome. Wow.
Yeah,
that is awesome. That is awesome.
All right, let's go to Derek Carson with a $5 donation. Appreciate it, Derek. The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, GoldenEye, Turok, and Star Fox are the best Nintendo 64 games ever. Was Slugfest a Nintendo 64 game?
I don't know. I was wondering that. Or was it GameCube?
Or was it GameCube?
Dude, Slugfest, like especially with the evil clowns, destroying the payload time.
It's one of those things, maybe as being a younger brother, that I remember about Slugfest. We were playing somewhere. It was me and you. And the bases were loaded, and we were down 3. And Greg Maddox was up to the
I remember that.
pitcher. And it's one of those things with older brothers, like, give me the controller.
Yeah.
Right, let me do it. I was like, no, I got it. Which in my head, I didn't have it. I hit a grand slam.
Yeah. Greg Maddox.
Wow. I felt pretty sweet as a little brother on that day. All right, let's go to Matt Stivers with a $10 donation. Appreciate it, Matt. What about adding a couple exhibition games in August, give a couple FCS teams a payday, and then move to a 12-game conference?
Max, in my mind, like, why couldn't we do that for a spring game? Like, if you're going to separate. Like, nobody wants to watch you play against each other. Like, yeah, you may bring in, let's just say Western Michigan, right? They may get destroyed by Georgia or somebody, but that's a lot. You get more out of it. You can run your stuff against somebody else who's not running your stuff. Why not do that? Because if you do have a separation of the Group and 5 and Power 5, and we have more teams that are in conferences, these non-conference games are gone. They're gone. And that's a big payday for the Group of 5 schools. Like, they survive, a lot of athletic departments survive on going and getting their ass kicked by somebody that's a lot bigger giant than they are.
I think there could be something there, especially the end of fall camp, right? You're looking to kind of hit somebody before the season starts. Everybody's trying to make a push for this week 0 thing anyway. Why not go ahead and make that the week where it really is, it's a preseason game? Maybe those FCS schools could still get a big check, depending on where the game is, and it's still going to be televised.
Well, why not? Why don't they do joint practices like you see in the NFL? I've always wondered that too. There's way more college teams around each other than there is NFL teams. I mean, if you're
they don't trust each other.
Again, we learn how to practice.
All right, last donation of the day. Ryan Gade with a $5 donation. Appreciate it, Ryan. 37 days till Nerfy season, boys, and 37 days till the Phillies kick the Braves.
Ryan, you're going to just say this every day, aren't you? You know what? I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I'm a fan of it.
I'm not fine with it.
All right, poll. Should there be a Group of 5 playoff? Yes or no?
God, see, coaches are split, but I don't think people are split. I think yes, 65%.
Yes, 75%.
I hope you're right.
Yes, 76%.
Wow.
No, 24%.
All over it. All right, good job, chat. Thanks, JD PicKell, for joining us today. Game Time app, Shopify, Provia. Use that promo code BOOSTER. It's pretty self-explanatory, BOOSTER. We appreciate you guys. We're going to be back with another great show tomorrow, so make sure you check us out. Keep spreading the word so we can keep growing and flying like a bird. I'm going to catch this card, and just like...
You're not. You got to throw it.
Just like the chances of us not playing football with robots in the next 100 years, we're going. Oh! Ooh! Gone, baby! Yeah! Put that on the bingo card.